for joining. My name is Melissa, and I'm the Community Resource Manager here at Total Alignment Charitable. We are a nonprofit organization that helps individuals navigate financial hardship through personalized financial planning. So for those of you who aren't familiar with us, please look at our website. And if you have any individuals that you think qualify or would benefit from some free financial services and planning, please reach out and please try to connect and see how we can help. As well as if you are a financial planner or you have an organization that requires individuals who might be able to benefit from financial planning, please don't hesitate to reach out as well. So I have spent much of my career advocating for individuals who are managing their own mental health challenges. I started my career in community-based mental health services, supporting individuals who are living with anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, and other diagnoses that, maybe created a challenge in living independently and sustainably. So I was helping in providing those services for them. So May is Mental Health Month, and we're getting in just before the month ends, but wanted to make sure that we took the time to talk a little bit about how mental health affects financial situations, as well as how the financial situations may also affect mental health. So what we're going to talk about today are some general best practices on managing your mental health, along with managing the finances, and why it's something that really needs to be focused on, and how it's not the same for everybody, and some of the challenges that are experienced when you have both of those challenges might be a little bit harder to function on a day-to-day basis, especially if you're living paycheck to paycheck or dealing with large debt. So first thing I want to talk about is just to make sure that people are aware of some of the misconceptions and the stigmas that are associated with mental health and how it can affect your finances. So mental health conditions are more common than many people realize. According to the National Institute of Mental Illnesses in 2022, more than 1 in 5 US adults were living with mental illnesses. Some of those common struggles might be having challenges with executive dysfunction, impulsivity, lack of motivation, and some may say, most importantly, the shame around spending, which often has a direct impact on finances as well. So some individuals that I've worked with in the past, if they experience a depressive episode, if they're in the middle of one, even getting out of bed can feel like a victory. So trying to track every single dollar in a budgeting app or on a spreadsheet can sometimes be really challenging and not a priority, right? So some of those symptoms that are also associated with conditions like ADHD or bipolar disorder can lead to those impulse spendings as well. And that, along with having inconsistent income, can make it really feel like managing the finances is an impossible task. So the big thing after that is the guilt. So we all tell ourselves it should be easier, or I should be better at this. But the truth is, budgeting takes a lot of mental energy, decision-making, and long-term thinking. So these are all skills that can be significantly impacted when you're managing a mental health challenge, or just generally for most individuals. So unfortunately, this creates a cycle, right? That can be hard to get out of. Unmanaged finances causes stress, and that stress makes managing your mental health even harder. Unmanaged mental health creates additional challenges to manage those finances, which leads to increased financial stress, and on it goes. So many individuals in the situation start to avoid checking their bank accounts or even looking at their mail. And they just start getting into the situation where they don't know how they can start to manage these challenges. And those problems keep compounding until they, kind of ignore the situation, which doesn't really help in the long run. So that's kind of the challenge. But the good news, you don't need to be perfect or have perfect willpower to manage your money. You just need tools that work with you and with your brain, regardless of how that brain works, and not against it. So I'm going to go over a couple of strategies today, some quick tips. They're not going to all be brand new, but this is a place for you to kind of see which ones maybe work for you. Maybe you hear some things that are different for you, or maybe just kind of listen to it again. And maybe today, this day that you're meeting with us today, and, focused on this is going to be the day that you start and really focus on this. So I'll go over a couple of topics, and then at the end, of course, we'll have some questions and answers. And then at the end of this meeting, if you registered with your email address, I will be sending a quick hit list of all the information that we presented. I don't have the bandwidth to really do a lot of slideshows today. So I will be giving you that in email form with some additional resources and, of course, anything else that we talk about. So the first strategy that I want to share with you is the one number budget. So this is when you're creating your budget and you're trying to figure out where all your money goes. You're going to focus on one number. Let's say it's your fun money for the week. So you're going to want to put that as a number that you are going to focus on. So I will spend $50 on my fun money. All the rest of that money, we're just going to automate that and make it as easy as possible. Speaking of automation, this is a big one. If there's any, I know a lot of people have those different dates of, my credit card bill is due on the 1st, my electric bill is due on the 20th, my phone bill is due on the 8th. All of these dates can be really challenging sometimes to keep up with, especially when maybe you're paid every 2 weeks versus on the 1st of the month or the 15th of the month or the 30th of the month. So trying to get your finances filtered out and automated around your payday, if possible, can be really helpful. The rest of that, you can also put a lot of bills on autopay through your banks or through the apps for the electric bill. A lot of times you can also do it in your bank where you can do every 2 weeks. So it kind of aligns with your paycheck. This helps reduce that decision fatigue. So you don't have to think about it. It's going to already come out. It's not fun to see in the bank. You get paid one day, sorry, taking out the next day, but it'll help you so you don't have to use that mental load on things that are going to happen anyway. Visual tools. So visual tools can be really helpful when you're looking at, depending on you, right? Because everyone has a different technique of what works for them. But some people really like to see things. So get a big calendar, put it on your wall, put, once a year, write down all the areas that you're going to have to pay and all the, the days that you're going to sit and maybe do your budgeting. Sticky notes. Put it on your envelopes when you get them, color-coded envelopes. A lot of different tools can help you when you're trying to figure out what budget is going to work for you or how you can kind of stick with it. And then this is a big one too, create a crisis budget. So we're not going to feel 100% every single day. Maybe this is the day that you do your budgeting and you know what? You're starting to feel a little depressed or very depressed, or you're having a manic episode, or, whatever that challenge is for you that doesn't help you prioritize your finances. Create a crisis budget, a budget that creates that just has that main basic stuff, your rent and maybe the food bill. Those are the things that you're going to prioritize that month. The rest, it's not going to be great. Maybe the credit card bill doesn't get paid that month. That has other effects, but you know what? You're taking care of the things that you need to take care of. And just knowing that that is taken care of is one little checkbox that can help you kind of focus and look at what you're doing and know that you made a difference for yourself that day. I personally love pairing the tasks of budgeting with rewards. So budgeting is not fun, but you can make it as pleasant, at least as pleasant as possible, make an afternoon around it, play your favorite music, get your favorite snacks, possibly even invite a friend over who can also, kind of be your accountability buddy that maybe is also managing their financial stressors or have, challenges as well, or they just want to be there to support you because they know that this is a challenge for you. So make a day out of it or an afternoon of it. And the most important, I think, is giving yourself the ability to forgive yourself and permission to reset. So this month you overspent or you missed a due date. It's okay. It's not, yes, there's consequences and we have to deal with those consequences, but you know what? You're starting, you're still working on it. You're not giving up. You're not gonna, let it get to the point where it balloons into something bigger. Tomorrow, you're gonna pick it up, start again, go over again. The important part is the progress, not perfection. So just keep that in your mind and keep focusing on what you can do and how far you've come to get to this point. Now, there are some free tools as well that can help you. Budgeting can be a bit of a challenge. Do you have Excel? Do you know how to use Excel? Is it something that you're comfortable with? There's a lot of free apps online. There's some that are not free either, but it might be good to try a couple of different ones. So there are some free ones such as NerdWallet, Mint, which actually is through Credit Karma, and there are some free versions of Good Budget and Every Dollar. Sometimes there are some programs, I think it's You Need a Budget, YNAB. They have a free 35-day, I want to say, trial period. That might be helpful. That might just be enough to get you starting on the process and using those services, and then cancel before it gets to that point where you have to pay. But that might help you just get that little push that you need in order to get into the right direction, or to see how that process works for you. And if you like that way that you're budgeting, maybe there's a way that you can kind of keep it going on your own. There's also Every Dollar. That one is a simple zero-based budgeting tool. It can be tough to manage though, because it is, the zero-based budgeting tool. There's also spending trackers on the App Store, Google Play. So kind of check them out and see if there's anything that works for you. You might not find your preference. You might not find the best one for you that first time. Again, not about perfection, right? You're just going to find what works for you and see if you can make it work a little bit better for you. And then also for the people who maybe do like Excel and love a good spreadsheet, I might be one of those people. You can create a spreadsheet yourself. Even in Excel, there's an option for a printable budget. So you can do that. And then one of the resources that I found is Mental Health and Money Toolkit on the Money and Mental Health Policy Institute. It's a UK-based organization, but their resources, as long as you can get rid of or disregard the euro symbol and just think of United States dollars, it can help you still apply that to your everyday life. Next topic that I kind of want to share is trying to break that paycheck to paycheck cycle. It's hard. A lot of the budgeting sessions that you have might say, hey, just save 20%. And when you're living a paycheck to paycheck, or every single one of those dollars is already accounted for, there's not really 20% that you can save. So we understand that. What I'm going to talk about is maybe a couple of small practical shifts that might be able to make an impact into your budgeting. Again, not everything is going to work for everyone, but hopefully one of these might help you at least take the step or a step in getting in the right direction. So there is the zero-based budgeting. So what happens with that one is that you're going to assign every single dollar a job. So whatever your paycheck is, you know exactly where that money is going. And that means that even if you're supposed to have like 20 monies left over for fun money, you put that in there, and if you have anything extra, that money is automatically going into savings, or that money is automatically going to pay off a credit card bill. So zero-based budgeting is one option. Another one is to break the monthly budget into weekly or daily segments. That can help sometimes with the mindset. So I don't have $300 a month to pay for groceries. I have $75 a week. So let's see how I can make that $75 a week stretch. Because a lot of times you might have that $300. You go shopping once and it's done. And then 2 weeks in, you don't have any resources to, get the food that you want, and you might need to use those resources, which again, not a bad thing if you need to use a food pantry, but maybe it's something that if you had to budget, or if you had put it in your budget, maybe it's something that you could have kept to. We'll see. The next is tracking one category at a time. So it can be hard, right? Tracking everything all at once. It can be exhausting, it can be tiresome, and it can just overall just be a bother. So maybe just track one thing at a time. Maybe 1 week you're going to focus on or 1 month you're going to focus on groceries. And then if you end up getting like a good handle on that, move to, utilities. Maybe there's something that you can do with your utility bill. Is there a program that you can research that you might qualify for? Or can you see about reducing your heat that month to just where it's, almost a little bit too cold, but not quite cold enough where, It's going to affect you in your daily life. Um, and then once you kind of attain that, or you have success with that, you can kind of move on to the next one, and then just keep breaking away, or focusing on that area until you've kind of managed yourself in every area, and you kind of see your big picture in your budget. This is also one of my favorites. It's the plan or pause process. So this is good for those individuals who have a little bit of a challenge with the impulse shopping. So if you kind of see a must-have sale item, pause. It helps also if you have a pre-approved list. So I have a couple of things that I really, really want. The want things are not usually on my list. The need things, those are on my list. Like maybe you have a hot water heater that you are fairly sure it's going to break any day and you need to get a new one. So if you see a sale on a hot water heater, that's something that you're going to spend your money on. New shoes probably would not be on my pre-approved list. So if there's a really great deal on these really great shoes that I really want, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to put that on my pause list. I will pause. I'll wait 24 hours. 24 to 48 hours is usually ideal because 24 hours is still kind of fresh. Jump to 48 hours. If I still want that, and if the sale is still good, then, and it's in my budget, then maybe I'll assess it. Most of the time, after 48 hours, you don't have that item in front of you. You know that it's no longer a need. It is a want, and it gives your brain time and that permission to really think about it and assess if it's going to be the best option for you today at that point. But again, that pre-approved list really helps. So you know, hey, as long as you can physically afford it, and it's something that's a requirement that you know that you need, it gives you a little bit more of that permission to purchase something that is maybe a little bit more expensive or not necessarily 100% in your budget. You can also, of course, create a savings account for that item, which is another option. So if you know that you have a hot water heater, you can actually, with your bank, sometimes create a separate savings account that has that name, hot water heater. So you know, every month you can put like $10. A lot of banks actually allow you to kind of separate your paychecks and put it into different accounts. And they're usually not a certain charge for different online accounts, and it can go right in there. So you don't even have to look at it and see it and make that choice of putting it into savings, which again, that choice, that decision making is one of those things that we struggle with sometimes. So making that a smooth process is going to be the best thing for us sometimes. Let's see. And that kind of goes along with the reframing, right? Reframing the savings. It's not an option. If you have money left over, it is going into savings. Treat it like a rent, like a non-negotiable item. So you know that that's going to be the only way that you can get that money in savings. If you already have it set in your head as that is what that's for, even if it's $5 a week, that's $5 a week is in savings, and that's for an emergency, and it helps. $5 a week really matters. And then also the leveraging community resources. That's a huge one. A lot of people, especially when maybe they're newly diagnosed with a mental health challenge, or if they've been in it for a while, but they've been trying to keep away from having to use any resources, just know there is no shame in using the resources that are there. They're there for a reason. They're there to help people who need it. And if you need it, if you're looking at your budget and things aren't matching up, and you know that $300 is not going to work for you, then maybe look at food pantries. Look to see if you qualify for food stamps. They make the process, depending on what state you live in, somewhat easy. You can apply online. You might have an appointment just to verify some information, present documentation. But it might be a lot smoother than you think. You get a credit, like a little debit card, and you just go and pay it. They do need to verify the information. There are criteria, but if you qualify for it, then I do encourage you to go ahead and try to use it, because that's what it's there for. The same thing with Medicaid. If you have medical issues and it's keeping you from work, Medicaid's there for a reason. Medicare also, you know, you can apply for those different resources, those different programs. Most states, I know in New York, there's like one shop spot where you can kind of apply for a bunch of stuff in New York City, and it'll actually tell you what you're approved for or what you might qualify for. So If anyone has interest in that, I can send you a link to those things as well. So just know that if there wasn't a need for those services, then they wouldn't have them. There is rent assistance, there's financial coaching through certain programs, medical. There's also, if you don't want to apply for Medicaid, you can also go to local federally qualified health programs. They usually work on sliding scales. So just know that there are resources. Just learn about them. Reach out to your community connections and or reach out to us if you have any specific questions, and we can try to see what we can do to help. I also wanted to talk about handling debt. So that's a big problem, right? A lot of people, maybe when they were younger or they had a tough situation, maybe some medical debt, maybe you didn't have insurance, or you had insurance and your deductible was really high and you weren't expecting that. And, you can feel like you're drowning or just so overwhelmed that, again, you kind of get stuck in that process of like, I can't get out of it. So I want to talk about a couple of tips just generally to manage debt. Some of them might be possible for you depending on if you've kept a clean credit, and others, if you don't have a clean credit, there are some other options. It's not like you don't have any options. You do have options. We just have to find which one works best for you. So in order to kind of look at your debt, you're going to want to start off by looking at your credit report. So you can get your free credit report from annualcreditreport.com. That you should bring up the 3 TransUnion, Equifax, and the third one. And look it over. Make sure that there are no errors. If there are errors, you can actually dispute those directly with the creditor. It has all that information on there. Same thing with medical bills too. So I'll say that a lot of times hospitals or doctor's offices may double bill by accident. Always look at your bills. Always make sure that you know exactly what those resources are for. There are a couple of laws that came into effect over the last few years that make it very visible what a procedure should cost. So I would encourage you to also look to see what you can find for the cost of that and see and compare it to how much they charge. That might be somewhere that you can kind of reduce that bill a little bit. Let's see. You can also look for areas to cut spending or alternatives. I know this is hard. I know this is where everyone says, just don't order things from Amazon, or don't order, or don't get fast food. There are some things that maybe don't seem like they are going to be beneficial to cut because it's going to create more of a challenge in the future. But there are some things that, honestly, by cutting it, it's going to help you a lot. Or by adding a service delivery, maybe that actually might help your overall picture of your budgeting. So I'll give you an example. If you are currently going shopping, but you need to take a cab or 3 buses, and you have to take off work early in order to catch those 3 buses and get all the way to the grocery store just to come back, that might be better time spent maybe sticking at work, getting that overtime that pays, and then maybe doing a Walmart $30, depending on the time of the year and the exact situation. But certain stores have free delivery. Like some grocery stores have free delivery if you are requesting over a certain amount. So it's looking at those different resources that work for you and for your needs. But somewhere that you can maybe cut the spending is like Netflix, or the audiobooks. I personally love audiobooks, and then I learned about Libby and Hoopla, where you can actually use your free library and check out magazines, newspapers, books, audiobooks. And they can actually do movies sometimes too. I don't know if it's actually through the Libby and Hoopla, but I've heard that you can also rent movies and other resources and actually get like tickets to the national parks for free sometimes. So check out your local library. They have some really great resources. Also, if you are in a situation where you are not able to pay your bills, or you have so much debt that you're paying more in fees than actually able to pay down, you can look and talk to local, national, community, and faith-based organizations to see about what options they might have to provide you some financial assistance to catch you through that little bump or that big bump. So some resources are United Way, Salvation Army, Some of the faith-based organizations are the Catholic Charities USA, Jewish Family Services, Jewish Family and Child Services, depending on where you are, Society of St. Vincent de Paul. You do not need to be these affiliations, these religious affiliations to work with them. Just be prepared to share your story and communicate your need, and they will, if they have ability, they care about the community, not necessarily their religion. And then also Community Action Partnership, you can look at findhelp.org, and it gives you a whole bunch of resources and other agencies that might be able to help you. And then also, you might want to consider debt consolidation cautiously. There are a lot of programs out there that are actually not very helpful. Make sure that they're vetted. Check out the National Institute of Debt Consolidation. And I think there's one more, and I think that might not be the exact right name, but I will put that in the information that I send out afterwards. Just make sure that it's legit before you put any money into it. But that might be a really good resource for you if you're looking to consolidate some of those bills, give you one bill, one interest to pay instead of multiple. A little bit more focus on the medical debt payment plans. A lot of hospitals or doctor's offices, they know that there's a lot of challenge in paying medical bills. A lot of people don't know this, that they are sometimes willing to do payment plans, and their payment plans can sometimes start at as low as $5 a month. So that just helps you know that you're working on that. You can put that to the side and not have to focus or stress about that. And then, pay that $5 a month, and it'll help kind of break down the overall challenge of where your money is going. Also, if you have high bills, reach out to the hospital, see if they have anything that they can write it off, or debt forgiveness, or charity care. Sometimes they actually do sliding scale discounts. Reach out to those individuals. One of the things that people don't always realize is having a hardship letter and providing it to doctors, hospitals, credit card companies, mortgage companies can really help, letting them know what the situation is and what you're doing to try to work to get through that and how it's affecting your life can really help personalize it and let them know who you are and how you need that support. And also for the medical issues as well, there are organizations out there that can also try to help. So there's Patient Advocate Foundation, Health Well Foundation, National Foundation for Credit Counseling. These organizations sometimes have specific grants for individuals with certain medical challenges. So look at those, check those out. I'll also include that in our information. And I think I mentioned earlier in regards to Medicaid, sometimes if you qualify for Medicaid, and depending on the state, you can actually get retroactive assistance, I think up to 2 months. So if that's something that you're kind of currently managing, just know if you do qualify there, make sure you ask about retroactive assistance as well. So we're almost at time. I just want to say, struggling with money doesn't make you irresponsible. It makes you human, just like me. You're not behind, you're not failing, you're simply getting a new starting point, and that's enough. That's where you're at. That's all we can do to kind of make every day our starting point. Budgeting isn't about restriction, it's about alignment. It's getting your money and your values and your needs, as well as figuring out what your capacity is, and also giving yourself that grace to get you to where you want to be and where you see yourself. So whether you're rebuilding after a crisis or just trying to get through the month, know this: you're not alone. There's tools, there's resources, and there's people who want to help, be it community organizations, nonprofit organizations such as Total Alignment Charitable, even people in your family or your friends. If they don't know what you're going through, they may be able to help as well. So just know that you're not alone. If you have any questions or you need anything from us, please, again, feel free to check out our website, apply for a completely free financial planning session, ongoing sessions too. Or again, if you're working with an agency and you want to see about having our amazing financial advisors come in and do a presentation at your organization, please let us know. We're happy to help. Thank you so much. Is there anyone that has any questions at this point? I believe you should be able to just write something in the chat. I'll give it one more minute, but if not, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time. Hopefully you learned a little bit new information, or if not, hopefully this helped you kind of reset your focus on starting today and focusing on your managing your money and budgeting. Looks like we don't have anything, so thank you again. You all have a great day. I really appreciate your time.